And I would like to talk with you a little bit about this. How is a vision for the future embraced in your ICH project? And I would like to start with you, because I think doing your project and putting so much energy in that project, I think you need to be a very optimistic and positive person, and I think you will have really a vision for the future, and I would like to listen how it sounds.
I'm the opposite. I'm very pessimistic, so I have to fight to change the situation. That's the way we are trying to do what we do. And there is a full-time job, but we are not totally committed in this project because we have other works. So we work at night, work in the weekend, and our perspective of the future is to probably to end this experience after all the people that we encounter in our process are be able to take care of their own heritage. Our mission is to disappear because we don't have the mission to remain for centuries to try to collect something. We want to rise up the people that lives in our territory and stand still and make some like partisan in the first line of front and fight back everything.
Sounds very military. How is it in your project? How did you use ICH to move something or to head to another understanding in society?
I think that there are two answers to your question from the part of Imagine IC. I think that I hope I have made clear that we don't understand ICH as a separate domain of heritage. I would like to talk about heritage more in general. And I think that discussing heritage is always about the future. It may seem to be about the past, but it is only with reference to the past that we select today what we want to take into the future. And I very much hope that we can agree to some extent what we want to take into the future, although it need not be necessarily with the same rationale behind it. The one can see it as a good example for the future and the other can see it as a warning. But we can agree maybe on the fact that it's important. Something like Zwart Beraad feels to me to be very important to all of us in the Bijlmer, although we evaluate it all in a very different way. And more on another level, speaking about the future, I think I would very much hope that our work contributes to some kind of grand solidarities, some kind of understandings between people, although we are also different, and kind of mutual support in the daily lives, or at least some mutual understanding and not going against each other. Maybe I'm too optimistic.
I will give a very classical answer in spite of what we heard this morning. For me, the future is working with our collection, because I work in a museum who have collection. I am paid for that. I have to do that. And in the experience with the practitioner, when showing the collection and having also space for their own creation, you have a dialogue, and they felt very good to have this dialogue. Why? Because they work with worthy to be in a museum that has such collection, and in the collection they found also new inspiration. I think the historical work we can do with ICH or with material collection bring us the liberty to have the future, to look how do we want the thing to be. Because in the past we see how many times the things have changed, how people handle with change. Also in the artistic example, many practitioners said, we didn't know that we could cut on the white and not on the black. And we didn't know that it was not traditional. We thought it was not allowed in the tradition because it is always black. In fact, they saw that they can also paint and do new things. So I think if we really do our work with collection, with history, we can bring more freedom to invent the future.
Thank you. And I think I would like to connect the next question with what you said right now, because one word I already said what I liked is this multi-perspectivity, because I think it has it in all three projects. It plays an important role. And in all projects, I think you moved something. You moved something in your institution, but also with the people who participated. And maybe you can explain a little bit more. I imagine you moved with your exhibition this image of Nestle and papercuts. You moved away many people from this image, or how would you describe what's
the first thing I moved? You saw perhaps the first picture with the Coca-Cola. And it was the picture of the poster we have everywhere in the street. So it was also surprising to have Coca-Cola in a very traditional way. So it moves something at every time. But I also feel that the public that comes to a museum like mine, they want to find something with tradition. So I have to catch them with something that corresponds to what they are looking for, to then bring them in the movement and open their mind to new things.
And maybe for Zwart Beraad, what do you think did the project move for Imagine IC inside the institution, but also maybe in the life of the participants? Can you conclude that? I know it's included in your presentation, but how would you
One of the recurrent discussions about Zwart Beraad between people like me in Imagine IC, because we also have very different people in Imagine IC, but people like me in Imagine IC and the people of Zwart Beraad that approached us, is it an option for them if I identify with Zwart Beraad? If I would claim Zwart Beraad is also part of my heritage, let's share Zwart Beraad. And that's really a difficult avenue, but it's an interesting discussion, I think, that keeps coming up. It's a discussion on the one hand about identity politics maybe, and to put fences around heritages, but on the other hand, questions about sharing, at least knowing each other's heritages, and maybe starting to share it, as far as I'm concerned, towards these grand solidarities. Even if the heritage that you are ready to share is more painful than you thought in the beginning, maybe. Yeah.
And I think you showed us a lot what you moved. Maybe you have one insight into a person or a group of people where you can make very concrete what the project moved in that environment.
I can say that two very important movements we made was one from the institution and one from the citizen. From the institution, I convinced the institution to create a museum, an archaeological museum inside this area. After 5 years now, the institution is financing the building of an archaeological museum. We are not inside this building because we want to stay outside the building. But we are convinced, we think that it's important to bring the museum in the suburbs and to move the museum in the other suburbs, like the experience of yesterday I think in Bern, that the director moved out from the building and goes in the industrial area and makes some activities there. Yeah, probably the museum has to understand that it's time to stay in a building and move from the building where it's needed. The second movement is by the citizen. A large group of citizens have decided to take care of a large part of the territory, cleaning up, make tour, make cultural events in the park, and now the park that was something incredibly dirty and horrible, now is one of the best cleaned park and vivid park in Rome. And actually, in Rolling Stone's UK edition, today there is an article about this park, because it's a very case history. And we convinced the people to take care of that part of the city, and now that part of the city is one of the most beautiful part of the city. So you can move something, but you have to work very, very hard to achieve these results.
And just a very small question, why is the museum dedicated to archaeology and not to the rich culture of this
Because in our district, the Ecomuseo area is the second part of Rome for richness of archaeology persistence, but nobody knows.
So it's time for your question. Who wants to ask something?
I've got, in fact, two questions for Claudio. The first is that we always talk about traditions as changing, and I was wondering, did you notice that change in traditions with the various groups you work with? I mean, are the traditions they have developed now in Rome different, or maybe is there even a mix between traditions from different groups? And the other question is, how did you get the people from your museum to get out? In my museum, it's often quite difficult to get people, out of the museum and into the city. So, what's your secret to get your people out of the museum?
I start with the second.
Yeah.
The secret is because we are not a recognized organization. We have decided to call us an Ecomuseum, and we ask all the people to support us and say, are we an Ecomuseum? Yes, and so it's enough for us.
We were like that.
And so it's enough for us, because the Ecomuseum is the museum of the people, so the people say you existed, so I existed. It's perfect. And when we ask, we have to have a place where to make something, well, there is the old territory you can use. Perfect, you use the old territory. So it was simple, because in the introduction of our thinking, we make the things clear. Okay. For the second one, actually we can say that the tradition of the other the migrants are very, very close. So the Italians and the Bangladeshi, the Chinese, the Romanian follow parallel lives. Okay, then doesn't mix very much. And so the tradition are very, very blocked. Okay, crystallized in the. For example, a student from Dhaka say that the tradition of one of Islamic ritual of the Bangladeshi communities is more accurate in Rome than in Dhaka, for example. So the tradition is, I think, is a normal process of the diaspora. Try to make very, 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 very pure the rituals. But the second generation are changing things, and actually we have some specific movement from the Chinese community. The Chinese community is mixed up because the Chinese community in our district is Christian, is Catholic, is not Shintoistic, and so it's more easy to them to talk with us and try to mix up the tradition. So we can say it's a very flexible situation.
Question from Isabelle. So have you collected or bought some pictures?
Yes, we have bought some pictures. We have bought pictures from practitioners of our region, in fact, but also not all. Those that we thought were interesting for us. Because, in fact, in this tradition of cutting paper, there are the practitioners which are on the Swiss list in Gstaad, Leiden, but not in my region. But in my region, there are people who are members of this association. In this association, there are practitioners from all parts of Switzerland, but also people who are living abroad, Swiss or not Swiss. And in Switzerland, there are a lot of people who are not Swiss who are members of this association. So it's very diverse. I bought two works. The one I showed you from the young man with an iPhone, and the other from Fribourgeois, because it is Sylvain Monet. You can go and look on Google. He used papercut for designing cartoons, history, and also for designing apps. And you can have an application with story he is inventing with this technique. So it's very interesting to see how young practitioners bring also their own universe of digitalization and using networks, social networks with their work, and we bought this work.
One last question.
Another question for Claudio Gnessi. Thank you for your presentation and for your impressive project. I just want to share with you my impression I had. To summarize my impression, I have the impression that you are in your project, you are trying to correct the 50 years of implementation of disastrous, or bad at least, urban policies. And the question is, it's a great project of urban regeneration, what you do, but is it really, is it possible to achieve this goal for a museum, just for one museum? And do you have the support of the municipality? Actually, you should have the support for the next 50 years.
We start from this point. We start from an attack to the rural part of our urbanized part of Rome. Because rural and urban in our territory are totally mixed up. We are farmers, we have agricultural culture in our district. And this part, that was the green heart of our territory, was attacked by speculation. And so all the people raise up and say, stop. We don't want to delete this part of our territory that is very important, is a place of our heart, and we have to stop this. And the movement starts from this point. So we have already changed the urban policy inside our territory, because that part, that green, large green field of our territory must be new residential places, and actually is still a large park. We have make a people movement, and then we take inside the institution. And actually, the institution is working to put some rule in that part of the city to avoid new construction. So we have changed something, and we have changed not only with the protest. We have changed it with the project. We say, okay, that part of our territory is important, because you don't know, but in that part there are 4 Roman villas, there are 6 Roman caves, there are 7 old buildings that testimony the history of the ancient agriculture in this area. So it's very important in the cultural point of view. We can make something else here. We can make another project, a cultural project, raise money from a cultural project, have a development, another type of development. That's the first achievement we have. Our first achievement, and then we go further and work with the people. First with the soil, then with the people.
So thank you very much, Marlous Willemsen, Claudio Gnessi, and Isabelle Raboud-Schüle for your contributions. And I think you and all the others who presented today and yesterday, you showed how different the projects can be, or how various projects are possible working with ICH, and I'm very thankful for that.